Just look straight ahead.
Sorry.
Like, how is this guy not one of the zombies?
Awesome. All right. Thank you all for sticking around for our second show, which is Speed Dating in the Time of Zombies by Chuck Smith. So without further ado. The set is 3 small tables, each with 2 chairs. The lights are up. Rose enters stage left and comes to center stage in front of the tables. She is dressed in a white lab coat with a small microphone in one lapel, a white blouse, black slacks, and sensible shoes. She wears a whistle around her neck on a lanyard. If Margaret Thatcher had a meaner sister, this would be her. When zombies roam the earth, authoritarianism is in bloom.
I am Rose Quinn, the head of the Blundstone Laboratory. I am recording this for posterity, if there will be a posterity. It was 5 years ago the zombie virus was spread by bodily fluids, by bites, and by scientific ineptitude. This laboratory was originally a Center of Disease Control laboratory. This continues today, albeit for the most exotic of vaccines, a vaccine to treat zombies. We are geographically isolated in a large wooded plot that is bordered by mountains and rivers. Colin Blundstone, the reclusive billionaire, gave us a large hunting chalet and its large forest land. He used to hunt on this land, but now the human race is the hunted. We converted it to this almost impenetrable fortress and have made it a first-rate laboratory. We have one eye on the future and the other on the horizon. I don't believe in the mystical third eye, but if I did, I would have it looking through a telescoped sight of a gun. Okay, we have a well, our own air and water filtration systems, a small garden, an infrared heat sensing system, security cameras, and electric fences. When we locked ourselves in, we left relatives and loved ones outside, although some later tried to visit us to kill us. We send out hunting parties for game. The deer are too quick for the zombies. Unfortunately, some of our hunters have been attacked and bitten. We bring them back before they fully turn, and the researcher has become the subject. We lay traps outside to find zombie test subjects. This situation is difficult, but we are resilient. Suicides are down, and that is a good thing. We have made some real progress with our test subjects. We have not been able to reverse zombies because, after all, these are dead people. However, our latest vaccine has curbed their violent impulses. Some of our previous co-workers, while capable of only the most simple of tasks, are now allowed a certain amount of freedom. The delivery of the final vaccine is a much longer range challenge. I hope this will be the first of many tapes made to document our progress. Today, we document what I hope will be a joyous event. There is too little social life here. We do have the running and the dodging club that meets each morning, the shooting club that meets during security breaches, and the charades club, which has been temporarily disbanded due to its increasingly disturbing themes. There have always been more men scientists than women scientists. We lost some of both sexes due to the initial wave of desertions, and others through falls from the roof, and others through death by misadventure. Now, one of our long-range goals is to repopulate the Earth. I keep using words like our when I mean me. I'm not being disingenuous, but science is inclusive, and I am used to collective nouns. However, leadership is not collective in these times. Certain social inhibitions must go, and I am here to enforce that. I'm not advocating for sexual abandon, but for more social interaction, which must inevitably lead to sexual intercourse. Thus, I have arranged for this speed dating event. We have a dwindling staff, and we could do this artificially, but that would divert our precious resources, so it has to be done naturally. I have 6 volunteers for this exercise. Well, perhaps volunteer is too strong a word. I will model the behavior I seek by including myself in the process. Let me begin by introducing the subjects, I mean our participants. I will admit that I have been accused of being too much of a scientist and less of a human being for this project. And I accept the compliment. I bridle at Hot Pants Hitler, but I do see some parallels with Mussolini, who made the trains run into those tunnels on time. If this initiative does not work, I think I can turn popular opinion my way through a targeted rationing of food. I will be at the first table, and my initial partner will be Arthur Dash, my former assistant director, who had the misfortune of being bitten. In the interest of transparency, I will admit that he is my former lover. I captured his heart and body, and then, after his conversion to a zombie, I captured his body once more, but this time for science, not sex. He was my first test subject, and he has made dramatic progress from a shambling, slavering, killing machine, and, well, he is still shambling and slavering. We are working on that. He has recovered a few words, and he hasn't bitten anyone in some time. The night mouth guard has helped with this. And it has some orthodontic benefits, too. He has gone from killing machine to time-killing machine in our restraints testing department. May I introduce Arthur Dash.
Rose retreats from center stage and stands behind the first table stage right. Arthur does not appear.
No, the cattle prod will have little effect. Actually, I think he likes it. Just give him a big push this way and let his momentum take him on.
Arthur enters stage left in a stumble after the push, but he soon defaults to a slow, barely controlled shamble, arms swinging loosely by his side and his head lolling. His clothes are not in tatters as he is in the care of the laboratory, but his hair is a mess and he has stubble on his cheeks. He is part of his short sleeve shirt out of his raggedy shorts, his zipper is open and he is barefoot.
I'm so glad you could join us tonight. Please take a seat.
Arthur rocks a bit to get some forward momentum and begins to cross the stage past the table. Rose quickly follows him and brings him back to the first table and helps him sit down in the second seat. He is largely mute, but has been known to mutter softly under his breath. He has poor control of his bodily movements, so even while sitting, his appendages slowly in motion, fingers drumming silently on the table, toes tapping, and his tongue occasionally tasting the air.
At table 2 will be Beth Bannon, who performs our autopsies. Beth planted this speed dating idea in my head. It's a chance for her to interact with people who are alive. Oh, that's my little attempt at humor. If we can't laugh at ourselves, whom can we laugh at? I, of course, exclude myself from being the butt of any humor, but I feel that it erodes my authority. Oh, let me introduce Beth.
Beth enters stage left. Beth is prim and proper and a goody two-shoes who, after years of self-denial, is ready to go right to second base on the first date and perhaps beyond on the second. She immediately goes up to Rose and very formally shakes her hand. This is to Beth's regret, as Rose has a hell of a grip. Rose always lets people know she's in charge, but perhaps Beth deserves it, as Beth is that little kiss-up that all coworkers hate on first sight.
Good joke, ma'am. What a grip. Firm and authoritative. Authoritarian, even. I'm not much into fashion, but I wish you would go back to that black uniform. You looked so striking in it. You did strike people, too. My own little joke, which I hope you find funny. Well, this was my idea. The execution was left to you, and if I must say so, you are so good at executions.
Beth goes to table 2 and sits in the first seat.
Our next guest is Sam Anthony. Sam is one of our specialists on the vaccine. He started in the hoof and mouth division and worked his way up as others ahead of him died. Some found that suspicious, but I like initiative. His aggression may have been misplaced, but it still was aggression. And you can't spell initiative without
4 eyes!
No, that was not the point of the story.
What was the point of the story?
That some combination of the conjoined letters in the word initiative support the trait of initiative.
You can't spell initiative without inertia.
Your contention is not supported by the facts. The word has no R, and your comment is contrary to the point I wanted to make.
You can't spell initiative without active.
You have added a C where there is none.
This is so hard.
I could have made it into an anagram story. Now that would have been hard.
I was just trying to help.
Why are you always such a toady?
I find it to be an excellent coping mechanism.
Now, I didn't say that I didn't like it. I don't like someone who is fawning, but someone who is obsequious can be just right. You need to learn how to strike the right balance.
I can learn so much from you. Will you be my mentor?
No.
We can discuss this at a more appropriate time.
We've been neglecting Sam. Sam, will you come out here, please?
Sam, a shy and weird scientist, enters from stage left and walks up to Rose. His hair is slicked back and he has a small, pencil-thin mustache. He looks like a boulevard cavalier, but he looks more like someone who has to go door to announce he is a sexual predator when he moves into the neighborhood. He wears a white shirt, a dark suit that is too tight, and a bow tie. He wears very bright running shoes. Running is a constant preoccupation for everyone at the lab, so this is not just informality, but a necessity. If you saw Sam on a subway car, you would move to the other end of the car. He carries a briefcase with a lock on it.
I told you I didn't want to do this.
I ordered you to do this. You know what I can be like when I get angry.
I do, though I have repressed most of those memories. I did like some of the bondage, though.
Those were handcuffs.
Tomato.
I needed an extra man, and you do have one X and one Y chromosomes.
Most people have 23 pairs of chromosomes, but I have 24 pairs, which includes a hashtag and an ampersand. They baffle science, but they have made me the man that I am today. There's nothing to see here. Just an involuntary spasm that occasionally impairs my fine motor skills. Rose, may I add that you've always been my favorite authoritarian figure, at least in the 21st century.
Rose smiles, but quickly reins that in. Her smiles are infrequent as a blue moon and are just as chilly. Sam turns to go to his seat and at the second table, but as he turns, he is startled by the sight of Arthur, and he takes a more circuitous route to his seat. Arthur affects a lot of people like that. starting with Rose, the tables will be girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy.
And our next guest is Gabrielle Gaston. Gabby formerly was a scientist in her own right until she was bitten. Gabby, in her early years of treatment, helped out in the kitchen. Rest in peace, Chef Bob. And she is now a trainee in the wastebasket emptying department. She is a shining example of our continuously improving vaccine. She has some limited speech. Her bubbly personality has come back, and she has regained quite a bit of her mobility. May I introduce Gabby?
Gabby enters from stage left at a dead run, aiming for the exit door stage right. She exits out of sight. Rose's, Arthur's, Beth's, and Sam's heads turn in unison as Gabby goes by. This is an intricate head movement for a form known only to gold medal synchronized swimming Olympians. Alarm goes off as Gabby goes out the exit door. Whoop, whoop.
We got a runner on level 3, conference room. Guards are at the front door. Yeah, Gabby went out the rear exit. Kill the alarm. Don't use the rope net. I don't want to mess up her hair. Turn off that damn alarm.
Whoop. And the alarm goes off.
Good job, ma'am.
Kiss ass.
That's just your brain dead opinion.
Brains.
Not on the menu.
Oh, you got her? Okay, just send her back the way she went out.
Gabby re-enters from stage right. She wears a sweater with long, long sleeves, one rolled up to show a Fitbit on one wrist, while the other long sleeve covers her other hand. She wears jeans, white socks, and sneakers. She wears a princess tiara. Bad Gabby.
That's all right, Gabby. We were prepared for something like this. Now, take your seat. You see what I said about her improved mobility?
Just wait till the Nobel Prizes come back. You are a lock.
Better.
I aim to sycophant.
And last,
Gabby goes to her seat at the third table.
what can I say about Tony? I can't think of a thing. Tony Saxon.
Tony, dressed in a dark suit, a white shirt, a tie, and black well-shined shoes, enters briskly from stage left and goes right to his seat. Tony is gay, but thinks that few know it. Like the underrepresented women, gays are a very small part of the laboratory population. He is here against his will, but secretly he would like to find a partner. Good luck on that.
I'm here.
Yes, thank you for doing the minimum.
And what is the maximum?
I know.
It's yet to be determined.
It's copulation leading to procreation, and I'm in favor of it. I'm told that the sex process can be quite tingly in the silky nether regions.
I'm the wrong man for the job.
Well, we all must do our part.
We must use all our parts. I mean,
If we must, we must. I mean, I'll do what I can to ensure the continuation of our research. And applied research it is for me. Procreation involves some sort of sexual activity, and I'm good with that. I've never been quite clear on the concept as I got my PhD in chemistry at 11, with a minor in taxidermy.
is there a taxidermy major?
It was more of an elective, not a course really, but more of an avocation. At college, I founded the Taxidermy Club and was its president. Pits last forever, death wins never. We're the ones with the glass eyes. We're the men women never recognize. You got the right. Stop! 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 Met surreptitiously on dark nights at lightly guarded petting zoos.
Everyone sits for a moment in a stunned silence until Rose attempts to bring people back to reality.
Back to the matter at hand.
Procreation is not my thing. I'm here as a seat filler, not a seed filler.
Now that I have made the introductions, welcome to our first speed dating session. I know it's been tough with us being locked up for years in the laboratory. Please don't call it the unforgiving fortress. With the zombie apocalypse raging around us. On the positive side, our security is good. Well, it is now. We have a year's supply of food, and the latest foraging party found some pork rinds, Twizzlers, and animal crackers, so that's fun.
She doesn't get the response she's after, although Tony does languidly twirl his index finger sarcastically. Rose glares at him, touches her microphone, but she needs him, so she takes no action.
Our initial tests on the pacification drug are working. We even have some of our co-workers with us tonight.
It's a bit condescending, but zombies are not easily offended. They do look around to see to whom she is referring, but are puzzled, which is their natural state.
This event is not only intended to be a morale booster, but also a test of our zombie vaccine in a live situation, one which does not involve armed men. As you may have noticed in the latest live fire incident, collateral damage is largely a thing of the past.
Polite, scattered applause. The zombies, of course, are slow to catch on, and then balk it by being too vociferous, then laughing and stopping clapping. Unfortunately, taking their cues from each other and waiting for the other to stop clapping, which ends up in some stops and starts of the clapping again until both stop.
You all know Arthur at my table. I hope I won't embarrass Arthur by saying that in his living days, he was quite the malleable lover who took direction like a champ. Gabby, formerly from the DNA modification division, is another volunteer subject.
Tony makes sarcastic quotation marks as Gabby is hardly a volunteer. On the other hand, she's not opposed to being here either. She likes anything that gets her out of those restraints and hates that mouth guard.
Gabby, don't slop. Good, Gabby. You know that slumping reinforces an unfortunate zombie stereotype.
That and the biting. In truth, he's more of a volunteer object than a volunteer subject.
Well, what is truth, really, but a construct we all agree to?
Ooh, obsequious, but with a touch of elegance.
I
I like it.
I aim to dance attendance to you.
Gabby's head swivels back and forth as she follows the exchange between like a friendly Labrador retriever.
Now, Tony, you know how successful the vaccine has been. It's Zoloft for zombies. We have curbed their homicidal impulses, and some of their personality traits have begun to return. They even have reclaimed a few words. Thus, I have included them in this socialization exercise. Unfortunately, the laboratory has few women, and they are consumed with their efforts to save the world. I asked for volunteers, but few women responded. I'll deal with them later. Gabby volunteered. See? No mouth guards tonight. They both have had their shots. As lab director, I, of course, wanted to attend. I'm hoping this will be the first of many such artificial sessions. We want to save the world, but we also want to repopulate the world, and I know I will do my duty. But we need all hands on deck, and on each other.
No one laughs. Tony coughs sarcastically, a sign of his eloquence, as it is hard to make a cough sarcastic.
What? Nothing? Send my gag writer back to the outside perimeter.
Rose plunges in.
The DNA division has taken samples from all the living, and you have all had very thorough physicals. At some point, we hope to match, with your grudging cooperation, all appropriate men and women, and have them perform supervised conjugal visits for the purpose of producing myriad children. and you can be sure I will vigorously do my part.
Arthur reacts negatively, based on intimate experience with Rose, which is more akin to taking directions than making love.
But back to the feeling out, or should I say, feeling up process. I have got to stop working so blue. Hey-o! None of you have ever met, with the exception of Arthur and Gabby, who have been your pincushions in your laps. That was a joke. Laughing releases tension. Laugh or it's back to the Charnel house with you. Much better. Now, as your mistress of ceremony, I declare this speed dating opportunity to be open. Each couple has a few minutes to converse, sotto voce, of course, going from the first table where I am, through the second table to the third table. Each table will wait in silence until the table before them has finished. I will blow the whistle to start, and when each of the subsequent interactions is done, at the second whistle, the men will move to prearranged positions as the women remain in their seats. Then, at the third whistle, the women will move to prearranged positions while the men remain in their seats. Any questions?
I'm not good at prearranged positions. Or any positions.
Don't be so literal. She doesn't mean the missionary position, as that is the only one in the immediate future. Or so I hope.
May I have a blunt object?
Certainly not!
Rose blows the whistle.
A 2x4 with a nail in the end?
On to Rose and Arthur.
Well, Arthur, alone again. But this time we have our clothes on. Yes, I know, this is a little uncomfortable for both of us. You used to be such a sensual man. I was married, but you brought out the Scarlet Woman in me. Oh, our tryst behind the particle regenerator. Part of the thrill of it was the illicitness, the shedding of my lab coat and the increased caloric demands. You had to go get bitten and ruin it all. The thrill is gone. And not just because you ate my husband's brain. Perhaps out of jealousy, but probably just because you find brains to be so delicious. I like to multitask, so I brought you here to break up with you. Be quiet. They will hear you. Now let's be honest. Your sexual hydraulics are shot, and other options are too, bitey. So I am here to say goodbye to you, but also to check out the potential sperm donors. Dear, I'm sorry to be so clinical. We had our good bumpy times together. I've got to be the vanguard of repopulation. You can draw your own definition of vanguard. Next!
Moving on to Sam and Beth. Sam is a buttoned-up scientist. He's socially inept and rarely blinks. Basically, he's a nerdy creep, with the emphasis on the creep. Beth, despite or perhaps because of her involvement in autopsies, is actively seeking a living partner and is willing to consider sex in all its puritanical connotations and its singular sexual position.
Beth, I am Sam from the antimicrobial division. I think I've seen you around, and by around, I mean through infrared binoculars in the dead of night. I tell you this not to inflame your senses, but because I tend to overshare. If I wasn't tone deaf, I wouldn't have any tone at all. I hope this comes off as charming because I can't tell.
Didn't you come to the recent cremation of one of our co-workers?
Oh, the allergic reaction or the suspicious death?
The suspicious death.
Oh, that's where I saw you. You had such a nice touch handling the body. I was envious.
I try to be respectful, but into the fire they all go. Some say fire purifies, but I wear a mask anyhow.
Searching for a conversation gambit, he leans over and sniffs her neck, invading her personal space.
Nice perfume.
It's formaldehyde. It's a hard smell to get out. It's a lot easier putting in.
It's intoxicating to me. And I mean that literally, as I've whiled away many a night in a formaldehyde stupor. As noted, I was an amateur taxidermist. 5 generations of taxidermists. One stuffed Robert E. Lee's horse, and boy, was Lee mad. When I was a young child, my dad gave me a stuffed 3-toed sloth. I called him Mr. Musty because he had an unpleasant smell. I took him everywhere where people didn't tell me to get the hell out with my monstrosity. I lost him in a conflagration when I played with matches and my father's fire accelerants. Mom still can't grow eyebrows. We tried to transplant my father's mustache, but it wouldn't take. I took after my father and adopted his obsession. Don't ask me where I got the animals. No, seriously, don't. And don't look me up on the internet unless you have morbid interest in dead animals. If you have other morbid interests, do tell. I'm into morbid. I'm iconoclast. Some say that you don't have to follow the pack, but with taxidermy, you literally have to follow the pack to find the dead ones. The lab has used most of my trophies as bait to catch zombies in traps, but I still have a few left if you would like to come up to my love lair sometime. I actually don't call it my love lair if that's off-putting to you, I understand. I was trying too hard to be urbane. I am a raconteur on dead animal stories.
A regular raccoon turn.
I don't understand.
Someone who is good at telling stories is a raconteur. Someone who is good at taxidermy stories might be telling a story about stuffing a raccoon tour.
Don't waste your attempt at humor on me as I'm humorless, or so I have been told by others.
I wouldn't believe that implicitly.
I specialize in stuffing skunks, squirrels, and armadillos. Armadillos are the hardest to pose. At least you can pose a squirrel putting a golf ball. An armadillo reclining on a divan can't even grasp a cigarette holder. And skunks present their own particular problems, but don't get me started.
How can I stop you?
I know, come on when I hear one. If you are interested, I have a few examples of some almost extinct species.
I know. Don't ask where you got them.
Oh, I don't worry about the Endangered Species Act anymore, as everything is endangered nowadays. Wink, wink.